let's bring in our next guest analyst. He's batting cleanup. So he's got to tie it all up in a nice red ribbon and give us some good news here. But Oliver Slope's coming to us from Chicago. He's with Blue Line Futures. Oliver, thanks for taking the time. All right, well, what are your thoughts? The floor is yours. Have at it.
Well, I'm starting to see a few green shoots out there, and I haven't been able to say that for a while. A lot times over the last several weeks, it's just been, all red pretty much across the screen. We see December corn still in the red. Old support is now going to be resistance, psychologically significant $4 level to the bottom end of the old range, 403. If we can get out above there, maybe we can see some more upward momentum. But you had mentioned the strength in the wheat market, and I find that pretty darn encouraging. We're looking at the September Chicago contract. That's where the bulk of the volume is. And we've been trying to probe lower for the last 3 days, but have so far been able to defend those lows that were set on Monday at 514.25. So from a risk reward perspective, so long as we can continue to defend those lows from Monday, I like the upside potential here. We still got some work to do. If we can get out above 525, 530 on a closing basis for this week's trade, potentially that sparks a little bit more momentum. And on the soybeans, they're holding in as well. We've seen 3 consecutive Thursdays of flash sales. China was in the market again this morning, 132,000 metric tons, or about 4.9 million bushels. So some encouraging action there as well. On the technical side, need to see some closes above 1025 to 1030 to spark something a little bit more exciting. But I think that's a lot better of a picture than we've seen in recent weeks, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it is. And I needed to see a little bit more than that even, too. I mean, it's been a tough one out there. And that Bloomberg Commodity Index, that's not telling me a lot of good things either. I just feel like a little bit, I'm not going to be too broad about it, but I do feel like it's almost like a deflationary pressure right now when it comes to commodities. And I don't know if that's leading the way or not. That's what I'm kind of worried about is, the overall general economy. So we'll see. Stay right there. We're going to go away. We're going to pay some bills. We're going to come back and talk more with Oliver Slope. Blue Line Futures. He's in Chicago. I'll be right back. Let's bring our guest analyst back in and see what he's got to say about it. Oliver Slope, Blue Line Futures in Chicago. Oliver, what do you think about this meat market here?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head when we were wrapping up the grain segment and talking about some of the outside markets having an influence on commodities and deflationary pressure. And we've talked about this for the last several weeks, you and I, and probably sound like a broken record, where we think that a lot of that lingering headline risk out there, not just with regards to the economy, but you throw in an election, the bird flu, geopolitical risk. And I don't think you're going to get the fun participation that we saw last fall. And typically you roll the calendar over into August, and it's a seasonally weak time of year for live cattle and feeder cattle. So when you bundle all those things up together, I think it keeps buyers at bay. And when you start to see some of these technical level breaks break down, you start to see that selling accelerate. And I think that's what we've seen here to start the first trading day of August. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that maybe continue a little bit here for live cattle and feeder cattle. Yeah,
like we said, too, there doesn't need to be a reason. It's always good to have some sort of protection because they pulled the rug out from under those guys at the end of last year, and there wasn't really a big fundamental change, if any, at all. So you have to be doubly careful about that. All right, great stuff as usual, Oliver. Thanks for coming on. Oliver Slope, he's with Blue Line Futures in Chicago.